Hi everyone, it's Melissa. I go by Stitching Liz here on YouTube and also over on Instagram. It would mean so much to me if you would subscribe to my channel and like this video and leave a comment below. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new. So today we're doing a Stitchy reset. To me that means that I'm going to look at my Stitchy practice and make a few intentions, do a little journaling work, and come up with a little bit of a reset to see if I can spark my Stitchy bug a little. And what I've done is create a weekly journal. So this is a journal for a week. Stitchy Reset, a weekly journal by Stitching Liz. And I'm going to make this journal available as a PDF linked below that you can download if you would like to do this as well. So let's start off with first doing some exciting news. I have the giveaway winners from my last video where I decluttered my stash and was giving away some charts. So let's go over the winners of the giveaway. So the first set of charts, we had the word autumn, and the winner of that set is Lady Val 05. So congratulations. And then the Christmas set is Cat Crazy Creations. So congratulations. The next set was the set that was Peace, and the winner of that set was 2019 4687. And the next set was the set that said Holiday. And the winner of that set is Amy Swihart 7283. And the next set was the one that we used the word words. And the winner of that set is Patty Kuchera 3368. The next one was the one that we used the word hearts. And the winner of that is Veer Peer 2453. So that's VIRPIR 2453. The next one was the word happiness. And the winner of that set is Ruth Ann Adams 6196. And the next one was swirls. And the winner of that one is Welephant Soup. And the next one was the word inspirational. And the winner of that one is Nick the Stitcher RN. And the last one was the word cats. And the winner of that one is Love It, Live It, Make It Yours. So if the winners would all contact me either by direct message on Instagram, my username there is Stitching Liz, or I will link my email down below. Well, not link it, I'll write it down below. And you can send me an email. I would need your mailing address to send these out to you. So congratulations to all the winners, yay! All right, so let's talk about this Stitchy reset. So I want to kind of look at my stitching maybe with new eyes. And the first thing I want to do is look at my intention. What would you like to see happen for your stitching this week? So we're going to fill these out together, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I'm writing down, maybe to give you some inspiration, and also to see if you'd like to do this on your own, to see how I'm filling it out, to maybe give you a little bit of a sense of what my thinking was in creating this journal and creating this reset. All right, so let's switch points of view and take a look at what we're writing down. Okay, so we're going to look at my intention for the week for my stitching. And my intention, what I mean for that is what I would like to see happen for my Stitchy week. Not a goal necessarily, but just a thought about what I would like to see happen for my stitching. And so for that, I am going to say that I'd like to spark joy for my stitching. spark joy for my stitching. And as you know, if you've been following along with my videos, I've recently, well, not even recently, but I've really lost my Stitchy bug. And so as I go through this process, what I'm hoping to do is find something that will maybe bring stitching more to the forefront of my brain and more to the forefront of my hobbies and practices, and just have a little bit of joy somehow. So the next part you can see is a vision statement. How do you envision yourself stitching this week? What will it look like? Add as many details as you feel comfortable. So I have this vision. I'm sitting at my table now, and I have this vision of sitting at this table in the early morning with my candle lit and wrapped up in a blanket and a video playing on YouTube and stitching something I'm excited to work on. So I have this vision, and I may not have this happen this week, but it's something that I would like to see happen. So it's filling out the details as much as possible. And, you know, I'll have my, for example, I'll have my crystal light with caffeine sitting next to me in the morning, drinking that. The cats will be on the couch, maybe sleeping. All these details that create the vision of what you'd like to see. So that's my vision statement. The next part is a brain dump. So what are your thoughts about stitching right now? How do you feel about stitching? What are your hopes for your stitching? And it says to try and fill the page. So just with no judgment, what are you thinking right now about your stitching? And so some things for me that come up that are in my head right now that are kind of plaguing me a little bit is that it feels hard to start. Another thing that comes up when I think of stitching right now is it seems not worth the effort for just a few minutes. No project is calling to me. I feel guilty for not stitching. I want to feel joy in my stitching again. I miss the feelings of productivity and creativity of stitching. Now there are several more that I have in my head, but this gives you a good example of what a brain dump might look like. I'm just writing down without judgment. I'm not saying to myself anything about the fact that I have the thought that it's hard to start. I'm just letting it out of my brain. The act of writing it down and letting it out of your brain sort of helps you unload those thoughts a little bit, I find. And by unloading them, by getting them down on paper, you're giving your brain a break from having to think these thoughts over and over again. You're kind of saying to yourself, I relieve you of having this thought. It's down on paper. If you need to go back to it, you can go back and look at it, but you don't need to continue to think about it repeatedly. So that's your area for a brain dump. So the next thing I think that for my reset that I wanted to do was create a stitching menu. So what does that mean? Another way of saying this might be a to-do list without the actual obligation to do anything. So a menu is more like the option to choose. You know, when you go to a restaurant and you get your menu and it lists all the things you could possibly have that they make in the restaurant, and you get to choose off the menu, pick and choose what you do. So this one is a Stitchy menu. What are some Stitchy activities? Not necessarily actually stitching, although it could include actually stitching, that you might like to do if you feel in the mood to stitch. And that's an important thing, because there are times with this loss of my Stitchy bug that I do feel an urge to stitch, but some of my hesitations, my resistance come up. Some of those thoughts in the brain dump, they come up and they stop me from doing it. So if I was in the mood to stitch, what are some things I could do off of this menu that might satisfy that urge in a way that, like my intention earlier on, said that it would spark joy in my stitching again? So one thing that I can think of that I want to do if I feel the mood to stitch might be to kit up a new project with no obligation to stitch it. So whether that's from my own stash, which I love to kit up from my own stash, I find it so creative and fun, choosing the flosses, choosing the fabric, or whether you order the called for threads from a cross stitch shop. Whatever you do to kit up a project, you could kit up something new. Another idea that I have is go thrifting for FFO items and FFO something. Another one that I think would be fun is look at cross stitch books in the library. Another one, which this one actually is stitching, but it's stitch in a cafe or coffee shop. So whether you go to Starbucks or Panera or a local coffee shop that you have, somewhere that you can sit and relax with a cup of coffee or tea, maybe a little snack, and just relax and enjoy the atmosphere and stitch. I find that sometimes getting out of your traditional environment, so maybe you sit in your house and stitch most of the time, maybe your house right now is just not inspirational in terms of getting yourself to stitch if you've lost your Stitchy bug. But maybe gathering your materials, bringing them to a coffee shop, sitting down, being surrounded by people coming in and out of the coffee shop and stitching, maybe that's inspirational to you. It certainly would be for me. I really enjoy that. So I put that on my menu. Another one is watch a Flosstube video. And the last one is window shop a theme on 123 Stitch. So 123stitch.com has a section of their website that they separate their cross stitch patterns by subject matter or theme. So if you want to search all of their charts on cats, you can go to the theme of cats and it'll bring up all of their cat charts. And you can browse through in window shop, or you can actually shop and actually buy something, which is fun too. But just looking might be really fun to spark your interest, remind you of something you have in your own stash, make you feel excited to stitch again. So I put that as something fun to do if I was in the mood to stitch. So my intention again for the stitching menu is If I feel in the mood to stitch, choose something off of this menu and try and do it. Now, I may not be in the mood to stitch, and that's okay, this week. So this is just opportunity. It's not obligation. So the next thing is a little more concrete in terms of what it's asking, but it's not, again, not an obligation. It's an opportunity. So I'm calling this 5-minute options. Gently mark times on the calendar that you would be available to stitch for 5 minutes during the week if you were in the mood to stitch. So you can see here what we have is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and a note section. What I'm doing with this page and what you can do with it as well is looking at my week, knowing, okay, I work full time. So Monday through Friday, I work 9 to 5, and I have an hour to an hour and 15-minute commute on either side of 9 to 5. I'm looking at my day and I'm saying, if I wanted to stitch, if I was in the mood to stitch, where would I be able and available to stitch for just 5 minutes? And the 5 minutes to me is important because there's a theory among minimalists that 5 minutes matters when you're decluttering or organizing. And you may think, as I said in my brain dump, I don't know if you remember, that stitching for a few minutes is not worthwhile. It's not worth the effort. There's definitely a high friction rate to starting stitching. You have to get your materials out. You have to set yourself up. It takes a little time. You have to look at your chart. You have to kind of orient yourself in your chart. So there's a little friction in getting started. But if you tell yourself you're just going to stitch for 5 minutes, so whether that is just, one thread, one color, 10 stitches, whatever it is, progress is progress in the stitching world, and 5 minutes matters. 5 minutes can spark you. As you know, sometimes you just need to get started with something in order to continue with something. So where in my week would I be available for 5 minutes of stitching if I was in the mood to do it at that time? So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I would be available in the early morning for 5 minutes, and also at my lunch break if I bring my stitching to work. So that's the same across the week. And then on Saturday and Sunday, I would have the morning and the afternoon to stitch anytime basically during the day that I'm not doing something else. So Saturday and Sunday are really free days for me, but I'm saying morning and afternoon to kind of loosely give myself a framework. And you can see how generic this planning is. And that's because I don't want to say to myself that on Thursday at 8 a.m., I'm going to stitch for 5 minutes. I don't want to have an appointment. I feel like an appointment puts too much pressure on me right now. And I feel like if I don't make the appointment, I will have failed. And I don't want to set myself up to fail when I already feel guilty that I'm not stitching. So instead, if I did want to give myself a time frame, like I say early morning during the week, but what I could say is anytime between 5 and 7 a.m. That's a 2-hour period to find 5 minutes. If you're more of a detail-oriented person and you want to write a time, maybe a time range would work for you, and writing 5 to 7 a.m. would be a more realistic way for you to fill this out. So that's your 5-minute options. And the last thing that I included in this journal for a reset is a self-care pair. So I think with stitching, it's a high self-care activity for most of us. But if you're having trouble stitching, it may help to have a little bit of extra care in that moment because you're doing something that feels a little bit difficult to get back into it. So list self-care activities or items that would enhance your stitchy experience and make your stitching feel cozy and peaceful. So some things that I think would help my stitchy experience would be a special drink. So for me, this might be something as simple as lemon water, but it could be as complicated as going to Starbucks and getting a peppermint mocha, or getting a probiotic soda and having that available and getting to sit down with my probiotic soda, cracking open the can, doing a few stitches, taking a few sips. That feels really self-care oriented to me. Another thing is a candle. Candles are so soothing to me, and I feel like lighting a candle would set the atmosphere really nicely. Another one is my cozy blanket. Wrapping up in my cozy blanket just makes me feel so comforted, and stitching while feeling comforted would be so nice. Stretching. So sometimes I find with stitching that you're hunched over, that you're using your hands and arms a lot, and that stretching things feels very soothing, very caring, very relieving. And so including that with your stitchy practice might be really motivating. Another thing is a face mask. So I have this face mask that it goes on your face, and it's a cream, and it goes on your face white, and then when you rub it into your face, it turns gold. And it's not gold like a shimmery gold, it's gold like a creamy gold. And I really enjoy doing this face mask. And so the idea of putting on the face mask, then coming and sitting down to my stitching for 15 minutes and washing off the face mask, that sounds like such a kind of glorious way to spend your time. So that's on there. And then another one is after a shower in fresh pajamas. So the idea of taking a shower, getting all clean and cozy, putting on your fresh pajamas that are nice and fluffy and smell good from the laundry, and then sitting down to stitch and just relaxing on a Sunday afternoon. That sounds so nice to me. And that's what this is about, doing something that makes you feel extra special. Stitching is special in the first place, but making it extra special, pushing it over the edge to extra special, is what this self-care pair is about. It makes you look forward to the time you would spend stitching, and when you don't have your stitchy bug with you on board, giving you a little bit of extra spark to get yourself in that mode of, I'm gonna take this time and I'm gonna do this, and it's gonna be enjoyable. So that's what your self-care pair is. Okay, so thank you so much for going through this stitchy reset with me. I hope you found something that inspired you a little bit. I hope you download the journal and use it. Even if you haven't lost your stitchy bug, this can be fun to do. If you're anybody who likes to journal, like I do, this is a fun activity to do, whether you've lost your stitchy bug or not. So I would say give it a try. Let me know how it works for you. And thank you so much for staying with me on this journey as I find my way back to stitching. All right, I hope you have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.